Welcome back to my channel, folks. It's Gotham City Chronicles time again. And today, winter is coming to Gotham. Let's take a look at our combatants. So first we have the year 100 Batman in all his glory and his adversary Mr.Freeze. And the mission is called An Icy Welcome. So only one hero today versus one villain. Let's take a look at the mission. So Batman has to stop Mr. Freeze's plan by priming at least 3 explosives. And the heroes have 8 turns to accomplish this mission. Also there are 3 cryogenic devices which the villain can trigger to make things harder for the heroes. So let's take a look at the Batman and his equipment. So I mainly chose him because of his good terrain ability. He can ignore up to 2 difficult terrain levels. He is also equipped with a medipack and a crowbar, and for his bat gadgets he is equipped with a bat cape, some perforating one-use only batarangs, and electric bat gloves to put Mr. Freeze to sleep. Let's take a look at the river of the villain. The reinforcement, so the event tile is just 3 reinforcement points. Mr. Freeze has actually 2 tiles for this mission, that would be interesting. And this is the gaming area. Batman starts at level 2, right above the rest. And let's take a look at the bombs that Batman has to activate. So here are 2 bombs. At the south there's another bomb, and right where Mr. Freeze is another bomb. So Batman has to activate 3 bombs out of 5. And for the cryogenic devices that the villain can activate, these are the computers. So with a manipulate action they can activate the cryogenic device to put some more difficult terrain in the areas. Batman only has 8 turns to accomplish this mission, and let's start with turn 1. First, Batman spends 2 cubes for movement and spends all his movement points to climb down to level 1 and move to this goon with a crowbar and wants to attack him. Batman spends 1 cube and uses his crowbar as a weapon, and 1 hit plus 1 for martial arts, so that's 2 hit. The villain defends with 1 dice. Nothing, so the first henchman is KO. Now Batman spends another cube for movement and moves to the elite henchman right next to him, where the bomb is. He spends 2 cubes for melee, also with the crowbar, to get an extra orange die. And those are 6 hits plus 1 for martial arts, so this henchman is devastated. Now it's time to activate the bomb. Batman spends all 3 for his manipulate action. He has no bonuses, so he needs 4 successes. There are only 3 successes, so Batman has to spend 1 more cube for a reroll. Let's hope he at least get 1 success. Oh, no success, so Batman has to spend his last cube to re-roll again. Let's hope it's not in vain, and it's a success, so the first bomb is primed. But Batman is out of cubes, so he cannot do anything else, and his turn ends. Villain turn 1. So the villain regenerates his cubes and gets 3 in his active area, and the first tile activation he spends 1 cube to activate the guys with the crowbar. These are the only guys beside Mr. Freeze that can activate the cryogenic devices. The first guy moves into the room where a cryogenic device is and tries to activate it. He needs 3 successes and he can re-roll the white dice, but that is not necessary because you cannot roll 3 with the white dice. So now the next guy spends 1 cube for movement to move up climb to up level 2. Now for the second tile activation, Mr. Freeze activates for 2 cubes. And he spends 1 additional cube for movement because he's only movement 2. He moves out of the subway wagon and tries to take a shot at Batman. He is in line of sight and he uses his grenade option. Batman is 3 area away from Mr. Freeze, so Mr. Freeze has to roll at least 3 successes. This is a hit, and now Batman suffers an explosion too, but no hits for Batman, so lucky Bat. And difficult terrain due to Mr. Freeze attack. That ends the turn, and we go to turn number 2. First, the snow dissipates, but it's still level 1 dangerous, difficult terrain, sorry. Batman has no cubes, so he has to decide to rest this turn, but regenerates all his cubes. So it's the villain's turn. They regenerate their cubes, 3 per turn. And the first tile activation for this round will be for 2, the event tile, to bring some reinforcements back into the game. And those are the 2 guys that were taken out the previous turn. Second tile activation for the villain, spends 2 more cubes to activate the guys with the guns. The first guy activates, moves and tries to shoot at Batman. He can reroll all his white dice, so 4 hits, maximum damage for Batman. Batman defends with his 1 orange cube, so 3 hits, but -1 due to the Bat Cape, so 2 wounds for Batman. The next guy with a handgun moves in line of sight and tries the same. He rolls 2 hits, reroll, it's 2 hits, Batman defends, 2 plus the Bat Cape, so no damage dealt. And the next guy moves and does nothing. The last guy moves, but he's out of line of sight. So that's it for the turn. Welcome to turn number 3. Difficult terrain vanishes. Now Batman's turn. Batman is active this round after he rested, regenerates 2 more cubes, and the first thing he does is moving to this guy and makes a melee attack. He spends 1 cube, uses his crowbar, so 2 hits with +1 for martial arts. But Batman tries to re-roll the red die, so these are actually 4 hits. That's not worth spending a cube for the villains, so the guy is taken out. Now Batman spends 2 cubes for movement and he moves in front of the next room. And now he throws his perforating batarangs and makes a ranged attack. So 1 orange plus the 2 red dice for the perforating. 1 use only batarangs. And tries to take out the elite henchman with the shotgun. He needs 3 hits to take this guy out. And he rolls 4 hits. That's not enough for Batman, so he re-rolls again the red die. So 6 hits for Batman, that's not worth spending any defense. The guy is taken out. Now Batman spends another cube to move into the room to prepare for the next round to activate the next bomb. Now the villain's turn. The villain regenerates 3 cubes. And for the first tile activation, the villain spends 2 cubes to activate the brutes with the chains. The first brute moves into the wagon to protect one of the bombs. The next guy does the same. And the last guy moves into the other wagon to protect another bomb. Next tile activation, Mr.Freeze again. 2 cubes. And Mr.Freeze activates. Moves to Batman. And now uses his explosion attack. Which causes automatic dangerous terrain or explosion damage in the area of Mr. Freeze and an adjacent area, so no damage for Batman, so lucky guy. But some more difficult terrain. That's it for turn 3. On to turn 4. Batman regenerates his cubes. And he decides to take a risk. He doesn't rest, he regenerates 2 cubes. That is a risk, but he decides to move to Mr. Freeze and use the chance and take him out. He uses his bat gloves for this attack to put some more electric damage, but he has to roll at least 4 hits. So these are only 3 plus 1 for martial arts. Mr. Freeze defends and cancels 1 hit. That is not enough to break through the armor of Mr. Freeze, so he is at full health. Now Mr. Freeze and the villain regenerates his cubes. And for his first tile activation, Mr. Freeze spends 1 cube to activate the guys with the shotgun. The first guy moves. Second guy protects a bomb. And that's it. Next tile activation, it's Mr. Freeze again. 2 cubes to activate him and use his explosion attack again against Batman. Automatic damage, 1 damage for Batman. And the area is difficult terrain level 2 now. On to turn 5. Batman has no cubes left, so he has to rest for this turn. The difficult terrain dissipates. And now it's the villain's turn. He spends 1 cube to activate the henchman with the crowbars. The first guy moves and tries to activate a cryogenic device. He has to roll 3 successes. No successes. Next guy tries the same. 1 success with a reroll, 3 successes. So the first device is activated and removed. And now the villains can place 2 difficult terrain tokens in 2 different areas where there are no difficult terrain tokens. The last guy activates and he tries to jump down from level 2 to level 0 and takes maybe falling damage, but he is lucky. Now he tries to attack Batman from behind. 2 yellow dice, he can reroll. 1 hit so far. 2 hits against Batman. He tries to defend, cancels 1 hit and takes 1 wound. Now, second tile activation, the villain spends 2 more cubes to activate the guys with the handgun to do some ranged attacks. The first guy is in line of sight to Batman and shoots. He rolls 2 white dice. He can reroll both, 2 hits so far, 4 hits against Batman. Batman spends 1 additional cube for defending. He cancels all hits. The next guy moves in line of sight to Batman, shoots. He rolls 2 hits. Batman cancels 1 with his Batcape and cancels the other one with his defense roll. And then the last guy, he is in line of sight to Batman and shoots. No hits with a reroll. 4 hits. Batman spends another cube to defend and cancels all hits. On to turn number 6. Batman regenerates. He will be active this turn. Difficult terrain dissipates or vanishes. Batman now spends 1 additional cube for his first movement action. He tries to get into the room and now he tries to activate the second bomb. He spends all his cubes he can into manipulate and he needs 4 successes, only 3. So Batman rerolls 1 die and 4 successes. So 2 out of 3 bombs are activated. Now Batman uses his medikit to regenerate 2 wounds. Now the villain's turn. The villain regenerates and for his first tile activation he spends 1 cube to bring more reinforcements into the game. And now turn number 7. Difficult terrain vanishes. Batman has to rest this turn to be active in the final round of the game, so the villain can now regenerate and activates his first tile, which will be Mr.Freeze for 2 cubes. Mr.Freeze now uses his explosion again, damaging his own guy, but maybe Batman too. 1 wound, so the guy is killed and Batman takes 1 wound. Second tile activation, Mr.Freeze gets all in, activates again for 3 cubes and does the same. He uses his explosion. 1 more damage for Batman. Batman has now 4 wounds and is in difficult terrain level 2. Now for the last turn of the game, I calculated the moves, I calculated the cubes, I did all the math I could, but It was not possible to activate the last bomb in the game. It's too far away, too many guys. Mr. Freeze is in the way. Batman has to spend 4 additional cubes just for movement. So he only had 2 cubes left for activating the last bomb. So now Batman decides to just punch Mr. Freeze in the nuts, just for funsies. Batman spends all his cubes into melee, even 1 additional for his overexertion skill. He uses his crowbar and he rolls 5 hits, so 4 plus 1 due to martial arts. He spends 2 more cubes for re-rolling 2 red dice. So now we have 8 hits for Mr. Freeze. That's 1 additional re-roll. 9 hits for Mr. Freeze. That is enough to take him out. So at least that worked. Mr. Freeze is down, but Batman didn't accomplish his goal. And he could not stop Mr. Freeze, even though Mr. Freeze was taken out. So, yeah, what was the plan? As always, as the hero player, your most dangerous enemy is the clock. Maybe I spent 1 too many turns resting. I did had some bad luck while priming the bombs. I had to reroll too many dice for succeeding. This Batman does not get any bonuses to manipulate and also doesn't has the munitions trait, which would give a bonus for this mission too. But I don't think the hero choice was bad. In fact, I practically was able to ignore the difficult terrain in this mission, due to the level 2 skill of ignoring difficult terrain with this Batman. That worked good. The closest bomb was 4 areas away, but was well guarded. Maybe I could have chosen a different path in this game. What do you think? Was staying on level 2 and moving around to the west and then to the south a better option? Would you have chosen a different gadget? Maybe the grappling gun to be able to switch levels faster and without spending. My plan was to take out Freeze with the electric bat glove, because he was also guarding one of the bombs. Never mind, it was still a fun game. But we have yet to see the heroes winning. But this game is tough for the hero player. But that's okay, because you can replay the missions until you get better, do different decisions and so on. Okay, that's it for today folks. Send me some recommendations of which scenarios you want to see next from the Gotham City Chronicles board game. Subscribe to my channel, that really helps me to stay motivated. Stay safe, and we see each other next time when there's still a shadow over Gotham.